On a quiet American street, a boy sits at a kitchen table, pencil in hand, sketching faces he sees every day. Neighbors, shopkeepers, children at play. Nothing about the scene feels extraordinary, and yet from moments like these, Norman Rockwell would grow into one of the most recognizable visual storytellers in history. An artist whose images came to define how generations of Americans saw themselves. Long before his paintings hung in museums or sparked cultural debates, Rockwell was simply obsessed with one thing: telling stories through ordinary life. Norman Percival Rockwell was born on February 3, 1894, in New York City. From an early age, it was clear that academics were not his strength. Drawing, however, came naturally. While other children struggled through textbooks, Rockwell filled notebooks with illustrations. Recognizing his talent, his parents enrolled him in art classes while he was still a teenager. He studied at the Chase Art School and later at the National Academy of Design before finding his true artistic home at the Art Students League of New York. There, Rockwell refined a style grounded in realism, clarity, and narrative, qualities that would become his lifelong signature. Rockwell's career took shape remarkably early. At just 19 years old, he became the art director of Boy's Life, the magazine of the Boy Scouts of America. The position gave him steady work and a chance to hone his craft under deadlines, a discipline that would serve him well for decades. His illustrations celebrated youth, morality, and small moments of character, themes that would echo throughout his later work. But it was not until 1916 that Rockwell found the platform that would make him a household name. That year, he created his first cover for the Saturday Evening Post, one of the most widely read magazines in the United States. It was the beginning of an extraordinary relationship that would last nearly 50 years. Between 1916 and 1963, Rockwell painted 323 covers for the magazine, more than any other artist in its history. Each cover told a story without words: a boy nervously waiting outside a principal's office, a family gathered around a Thanksgiving table, a young girl confronting her reflection in a mirror. Rockwell's genius lay not in grand gestures, but in observation. He carefully staged his scenes, using neighbors, friends, and local townspeople as models. He photographed them in painstaking detail, capturing subtle expressions and gestures before translating them into oil paintings. His compositions were precise, yet they never felt stiff. Instead, they radiated warmth, humor, and emotional clarity. Viewers recognized themselves in his characters, even when the scenes were idealized. Critics, however, were not always kind. As abstract expressionism and modern art gained prominence in the mid-20th century, Rockwell's work was often dismissed as sentimental or simplistic. He was labeled an illustrator rather than a serious artist, a distinction that troubled him deeply. Rockwell was keenly aware of these criticisms, and over time he began to push back against the narrow image others had assigned to him. World War II marked a turning point. In 1943, Rockwell painted The Four Freedoms, inspired by President Franklin D. Roosevelt's speech outlining freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. The paintings were reproduced widely and toured the country to support war bond drives, reaching millions of Americans. They demonstrated that Rockwell could address national ideals and moral themes without abandoning his accessible style. Yet even these works did not silence his critics. It was only later in his career, after leaving the Saturday Evening Post in 1963, that Rockwell's most socially challenging work emerged. He began collaborating with Look magazine, which allowed him greater freedom to engage with contemporary issues. The shift was dramatic. Gone were the purely nostalgic scenes. In their place appeared images confronting racism, poverty, and injustice. One of his most powerful paintings from this period is The Problem We All Live With, created in 1964. It depicts a young black girl, Ruby Bridges, being escorted to a newly desegregated school by federal marshals. The image is stark, restrained and emotionally devastating. There is no humor, no softness, only the quiet courage of a child walking past hatred. The painting forced viewers to confront the realities of segregation and demonstrated, beyond any doubt, that Rockwell was capable of moral seriousness and artistic depth. Throughout his life, Rockwell remained deeply committed to storytelling. He believed that images should communicate clearly and connect emotionally. He once said that he painted life as he would like it to be, not necessarily as it was. That statement has often been misunderstood. Rockwell was not blind to suffering or injustice. Rather, he believed in the power of ideals, in showing people not only who they were, but who they could be. Personally, Rockwell's life was far from the cheerful scenes he painted. He experienced depression, struggled in his marriages, and endured periods of self-doubt. He married 3 times, raised 3 sons, and often wrestled with feelings of isolation. These private struggles make the emotional intelligence of his work all the more remarkable. He understood vulnerability because he lived it. As the decades passed, attitudes toward Rockwell began to change. Art historians and critics started to reassess his contribution, recognizing the technical mastery behind his seemingly simple scenes and the cultural significance of his storytelling. Major museums began to exhibit his work, and the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, became a center for preserving and studying his legacy. Norman Rockwell died on November 8, 1978. By then, the America he had portrayed had changed dramatically, and yet his images remained deeply familiar. They continued to evoke laughter, empathy, and reflection. Rockwell did not invent American life, but he gave it a face, one that captured both its innocence and its contradictions. Today, Rockwell's paintings endure not because they show a perfect past, but because they tell human stories. They remind us that history is not only shaped by leaders and battles, but by everyday moments. A shared meal, a difficult walk to school, a quiet act of kindness. In those moments, Norman Rockwell found something timeless, and through his art, he made it unforgettable.